So now we're on to the wheel. For those, and we do have some new folks here today. The wheel is a divine idea in the mind of creation to give the service back to the community. And so we invite questions from the community, and they go on the wheel. And then on Sunday morning, I spin the wheel to see how the talk is going to be contextualized for that day. I have no idea what's coming until I do this. The wheel needs some WD-40. How do I, quote, know spiritual truth? Okay. So, I will take that into prayer and contemplation while we move into our time of, let's take a breath together. So, we are continuing with our annual theme, First Thing First. And you get to decide what that is. And if your life is anything like mine, the first thing keeps changing. And so just because the first thing was first yesterday is no indication that that will be the first thing at noon today. Just saying. It seems like a simple thing. It's really an exercise to be present. So we're wrapping up our July journey. We've done the 7th step, and today we're finishing up the 7th tradition from a metaphysical perspective. And that tradition tells us that every group, every spiritual community ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. And we talked briefly last week about the broad scope of that we don't sell our identity to corporate sponsors for anything, for any reason. We also don't sell control of the community to the highest tither. And that's news to some people. I have my first day on the job at one of the places I was the senior minister. Somebody walked through the door. I had not been there a half an hour yet. And they showed up in my office with a check for $10,000 explaining to me that it was for the music ministry of which this individual was the leader, and that they would use that $10,000 to pay people as they saw fit. And I took a breath. And I prayed before I spoke. Because in the earthly realm, what was being proposed is patently illegal. It is self-giving under 501c3 regulations, and you just can't do it. But there was a bigger issue at play here. There was an issue that I get to buy control of a whole section of the center with my money. No, you don't. And there was a big issue going on inside of Rafe. This is your first day on the job. You are in so much trouble. There's no way you can do this right. I mean, there was all kinds of noise going on in there. And what I said was, I appreciate your generosity. And I need you to understand that what you're proposing is, first of all, illegal. And second of all, it's out of spiritual alignment. And so if you would like to give your money to the general fund, I'm happy to receive it. And if you're not, thank you, but no thank you. Every cell in my body was vibrating with fear. Because this was a small center, and 10 grand made a huge difference. And the person took a breath. And we had a conversation, and they gave the money, and they shifted. And a beautiful relationship began. Right? It takes courage for us to be self-supporting. It takes courage. Because there are people, I know another minister who had a donor who literally gave probably a third of the budget. And this is a huge center that had $1 million budget. And when the center started talking about justice from a spiritual perspective, the individual approached the senior minister and said, either this stops or I go, and my money goes with me. And the senior minister said, I love you, I respect your choice, and I hope you find a place that you're happy at. Because if we're for sale, who are we? Who are we? Do we even have a foot in spiritual alignment if our center is for sale? That doesn't mean it's easy to not be for sale when the checkbook is right there. Because all of this takes money. Right? The Hawthorne Center, we have a wonderful, long relationship with the Hawthorne Center, but it's still not so wonderful that they just say, come on in, use the building, take your time. You don't need to pay us anything. That's not how it happens. Any more than, as much as I love being a minister and can't imagine doing anything else, I need to get paid because I can't go into the grocery store and say, hi, just coming to get my stuff. And they go, great, Rev, so glad for your service in the world. Get your stuff and go. That's not how it happens. Really, PG&E hasn't put a special sticker on our meter that we don't get charged. That's not how it happens. Right? So we have to be fully self-supporting. The folks that show up here in the morning and set up the sound equipment, that set up the information table, that set up the treats on the back table, they are making us self-supporting through their contributions. Right? So if you get a chance, thank them. We thank them from up here, but you get to thank them from right here. And you get to join in. You get to join in. And there is always something you can do. Now, here we're not allowed to set up the chairs. So don't even offer. It's a workman's comp thing, and we're not allowed to do it. We can move them once they're set up, but we can't set them up. I learned that when I moved a table. Apparently there's video footage of me getting the table out and unfolding it and setting it up, and somebody got in trouble. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know. So we have constraints because of where we are. Here's the piece. This is self-supporting, right? When you have a question and you bravely present it for the wheel, you are helping this community be self-supporting because you're helping what gets talked about. Did you think of that as being self-supporting? Probably not. But it is, because the infinite in you is asking the question so that the infinite can answer the question. Because we're all benefiting from the question. Right? How do we know the truth? We recognize it. You recognize the truth. It's not a big, huge discussion. I'm going to go out on a limb and say none of you has ever engaged in a debate about whether or not you have a right and a left foot. You just know you do. I'm not talking about dancing. That's a whole nother thing. That's an analogy. But you have a right foot and you have a left foot and you just use them. You don't argue about it. You don't justify it. You just use them. Right? Truth is the same way. You know it when you experience it. More importantly, you know it when you don't. Right? You know it when it's out of alignment. Right? If I'm leading these songs and the pitch is right here and I'm singing right here, you're going to hear that. Hey, because even your body, most of it happens in the spine, that beautiful vibration column. When something is just slightly off pitch, the spine goes, stop it! You recognize it by resonance. And so when something is out of resonance, you know something's not true. Are you willing to explore what it is? Most of us just want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or we just want to avoid the issue altogether. What if there is truth hidden in the untruth? Are you willing to dig for it? Right. Many of you have heard the story about the psychologist who's studying two children. One is being studied for their reaction to overstimulation, and one is being studied for their reaction to deprivation. And so this little kid in the room with all of the toys, obviously being studied for overstimulation, right? And the psychologist has the cameras watching these kids. The other kid's in a room full of horse manure. Deprivation. So he's watching the kid with all the toys, and he's having a ball, and then all of a sudden he starts throwing things and crying and complaining, and he looks over at the kid in the room full of manure, and he's just contemplating. And so he goes, looks back at the kid with all the toys, and now he's just in a full meltdown. And he looks back over at the kid in the room full of manure, and he's found a shovel, and he is just singing and whistling and shoveling and having himself a party. And the psychologist is like, I'm so confused. So he goes and talks to the kid that has all the toys, mostly because he wants to hurry up and get done with him so he can go talk to the other kid. And he's like, I don't get it. I gave you every toy known to humanity, and you're miserable. And all the kid could do was launch into his list of this didn't work right, and I thought this would do this, and just one complaint after another. And finally the psychologist was like, okay, whatever. I got to go talk to this kid. And he gets over there in the room with the kid with the horse manure, and he's like, kid, help me out. I'm an extremely learned man, and I don't understand what's happening here. I put you in a room full of manure thinking that you would be miserable, and here you are, filled with joy, having a blast. What is up, dude? And the kid stopped shoveling, and he looked at him and he said, mister, here's how I figure it. With all this shit, there has got to be a pony in here somewhere. Are we willing to find the pony? Are we willing to acknowledge that that our head is full of crap and get out a shovel and find the pony? Are we willing to do the work? And are we willing to have a blast while we do it? It's one of my favorite stories. Because it's not like the kid was being miserable looking for the pony. The kid was excited. There's a pony in here. I don't care what I have to go through to get it. What if we approached our spiritual journey the same way? What if you knew that the pony you're looking for is already looking at you in the mirror? What if you knew that? That which you are seeking is already seeking you. Life is self-fulfilling. I will keep saying this until they don't let me say it anymore. You are a one-of-a-kind, intentional, on purpose, never to be repeated. Smile in the heart of creation itself. It has one desire that relates specifically to you, and that is to know itself as you. Not to know itself as you can morph yourself to be what somebody else wants you to be. It just wants you to do you, boo. Seriously. I hear the infinite say that to me at some point every day. Just do you, boo. Just do you. It doesn't want me to be somebody else. And it doesn't care what anybody else thinks about me. It doesn't care what the government legislates. It really doesn't. What's really interesting is the more joyful and the more at peace I get being a transgender man in this society, the more criticized I am for being joyful and at peace. I must not be paying attention. I am not miserable enough. Seriously, I cannot make this stuff up, people. Because see, we're so deep in the trench of the crap that we don't give ourselves permission to be joyful anymore. If you're not miserable, you're not paying attention. Here's one. If you're not amused, you're not paying attention. We are funny monkeys, people. I'm amazed, I am amused that we think we're the highest on the food chain. We are some of the dumbest animals I have ever encountered. Seriously. Many of you I grew up in the hood. All right? We can relate what happens in the hood to a rabbit. If a rabbit hears a sound, it goes which direction? Away from the sound. Human beings, particularly melanin-deprived human beings, and this is just my experience, they hear a gunshot, they want to go see what's happening. And they go toward the gunshot. Really? We're the smartest on the food chain? How? That's not even remotely smart. But we do it. That makes you miserable? Tell me more. We love our drama, and we're lying if we say we don't. When someone talks about an event in their life, are you listening for how they are? Or do you ask for more details of the drama? Most of us, really? Well, did. And we even add to the drama with our questions. Especially if we know you, because now we want to know if so-and-so was involved. That is not kind. It's not helpful. And it just keeps us all sick and stuck in the misery that we have validated as our norm. It's not self-supporting of life, it's self-supporting of death. It is. When we value the excitement of misinformation more than we are willing to do the work of truth, that is not life supporting. That is death supporting. We can show it physically. When we talk about meditation, but we're unwilling to meditate, and then you're frustrated because your physical being isn't working well, start meditating. Start with healing your body with spiritual practice. Right? I'm going to wrap up with this. Because it's easy for life to be self-supporting if we just stop all the stuff that's not self-supporting. We don't have to create things to do. We have to stop doing things that get in the way. Right? I'll date myself here. Anybody else in the room remember hee-haw? You remember when the guy would go to the doctor and he said, "Doctor, every time I do this, it hurts." And the doctor would smack him with a rubber chicken and say, "Then stop doing that." There's your focus for the week. Right? Where are you in that process? Right? Are you doing something that you know full well every time you do it, it hurts? And rather than stopping it, you're still in a place where you need to go to somebody and say, "Every time I do this, it hurts." Or are you the one who people are coming to, and now you get to be the doctor and find yourself a rubber chicken? Then stop doing that. Love each other enough to say, then stop it. Love each other enough to refuse to participate in the drama. Now, that comes with a warning label. Most of the time, it will piss your friends off. When you refuse to participate in their drama, they are going to judge you because they are going to extrapolate that you're judging them. It may not be pretty. And if you love them, risk everything. I think it was Anais Nin that said, if you risk nothing, you risk even more. If you risk nothing, you risk even more. Stop living safe. You are a self-supporting being. How much safer can you be? Life is supporting you. It is nurturing you. Stop separating yourself from it. Stop cutting yourself off from the eternal umbilical cord that nourishes you, that is you. Love yourself enough to own all of you. Every messy moment of you. Own it all. Because God already does. Let's take this into prayer. One power that is everywhere present. One energy that is the source and substance of all. By whatever name I call it, the quantum field, consciousness, creation, God, Buddha, Allah, Spirit, the great mystery, matters not. Because it is each of those things and more. It is the indefinable, unlimited allness, the isness that expresses itself as life. As the unformed and the formed, as the seen and the unseen. Always 100% fully infused and present in its creation, because it is as its creation. And so to know truth is to know what is present. To know God is to know myself in the silence So I claim and affirm, knowing that what is true of me is true of all creation, that we are each awakening. Each expression of life is awakening to its divine self in its own perfect divine journey. No two journeys intended to be the same. And so I claim and affirm that I trade criticism and in its place, curiosity. That I live in the intrigue rather than a culture that cancels differences. I claim and affirm the magnificence of the individuation of one in multiplicity. As I know me, I know all, and yet each is so uniquely expressing. I commit to the reciprocity of knowing all in order to know me. And to share all of me to be known by the divine. And knowing that the word spoken is the word fulfilled, I know that this is already complete, that the prayer is the answer, received by the activity, the doer of creation, the law in the creative process, and it's already been acted upon, and it's already been made so there's nothing to do but live it. There's no waiting period. And so I let go of all of the nonsense that would block my experience of it. And I simply step into this glorious divine yes. And let it be my experience, my life, my truth. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Just take a breath.